Hello, everyone. This is Dwight Woods, the Jeet Kune Do Rebel, and welcome to the Jeet Kune Do Dialogues episode number 190. Today I'm joined by the Chicago Four. I have the pleasure of dialoguing with Joe Goytia, Marc Halleck, Tim Tokarz, and Randy Siordia. These are four of Chicagoland's top JKD instructors. They have an upcoming event, the Chicago Jeet Kune Do Summit in October, and today they're here to tell us all about that event and much, much more. I understand that you guys are known as the Chicago Mob.
No.
Whoa, I don't know anything about that.
Yes.
I think I'll go 3 and Tim.
Yeah.
Now I saw something. Somebody posted that just a second ago. I call these guys the Chicago Mob. But let's do this. Let's go. What happened to Joe? Okay. All right. There you are. Okay. So let's go around the room and introduce ourselves. And Randy will get a kick out of this. Introduce yourselves and announce why you're qualified to participate in something called the Jeet Kune Do Summit.
Well, you pick, Dwight. You pick who you want to go first.
Let's go by who looks youngest.
That would be Timmy.
That would be Timmy.
I'm the worst. I'm the least qualified of the group. My name is Tim Tokarz. I'm from Chicago, Illinois area, living in Hoffman Estates. Right now, I am coaching Muay Thai out of 2 gyms, Flow MMA, or Flow Fitness Martial Arts, and MTC MMA, Midwest Training Center. I started training in 92 in June 5, instructorship as an apprentice, and kind of remained as a 4th year apprentice. I have been teaching JKD in quite a while. I've been basically doing of Thai in terms of, but I haven't been teaching officially in June Fan or college since 2001. And I'd been asked to present Muay Thai from JKD standpoint, elements of Muay Thai, how to integrate them in a JKD traditional structure, which I think is pretty difficult for me personally to conceptualize, because although it's been done by Guru Dan and by Art Soul and by Rick Fay, to me, Thai boxing is completely different. JKD conceptually, historically, and even as applied, Thai boxing being a sport and JKD being a functional system of self-defense. Thai boxing by nature, many of the things peeled back so that you can't poke the eyes and kick the groin, all the things that you need to do to harm a person have been removed so that they continue, and those need to be replaced into the JKD framework. How can we make some of the Thai boxing techniques clinch and stand up and work JKD spectrum?
Okay. Who next looks youngest? It must be Joe.
Okay.
Oh no.
Look how nice he cleaned up, huh?
Hi, my name is Joe Goytia, and I've been doing Jeet Kune Do. I've been an instructor in Jeet Kune Do since probably about 1988, right around there. I'm under Ted Lukai and Paul Vunak. I've also trained at the Insano Academy for a period of time, and also trained at seminars with different first generation students and then second generation students such as Chris Kent, Larry Hartzell, people like that. And I've been still teaching Jeet Kune Do, but I also teach other subjects too, such as Thai boxing, MMA, jiu-jitsu. So I at my place, we have different subjects that are covered at different times. And so I think that's kind of what I want to do the weekend of the thing, show like the different ways we can gel things if possible together.
All right. Mark, you go next. We'll save Randy for last.
Hi, I'm Marc Halleck. I'm from North Shore Academy of Martial Arts in Libertyville. I started martial arts in 1982, but didn't start Jeet Kune Do till 89. Actually, I met Tim when he was at Akai and I was at Z's. So I go back that far with Tim. And, you know, I've been doing Jeet Kune Do all that time. I've had a school 24 years, and kind of like Joe, we have Jeet Kune Do, and then we also have Thai boxing, and we have jujitsu, and we have a Krav Maga women's self-defense type class. I've been doing Jeet Kune Do a long time, so I feel I'm qualified to teach at the summit.
Oh, I was just joking about that, but I mean, I know that you guys are all eminently qualified. All right, Randy, you go, and then we'll get into the meat of the matter.
All right. So I'm Randy Siordia, and
Did everybody freeze, or just me?
Dwight, are you there?
Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
It just blipped a little bit. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Randy. When I froze, you were just getting started.
Okay. Shall I repeat? Or are you going to edit?
Yeah. Go again. I didn't get any of it.
Okay. So I'm Randy Siordia, and I started training in 1991. And my first exposure has been Jeet Kune Do and Kali. And shortly after that, I was exposed and got training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Muay Thai. And I've been teaching for about the same amount of time. So I started in 1992. And I put these instructors together for this summit because I've learned something from them. I've known Joe pretty much since I first started. He knew me as a beginner. And I met Marc Halleck when I started training with Mars, and then Tim pretty much around the same time. So all of these guys have shown me something in JKD, things that I haven't seen or thought of before. They've been good mentors to me. And I just thought that my students should definitely get exposure to them. And I figured that doing this in Chicago, we're all local. Wouldn't have to worry about flying anybody in.
Mhm.
And Joe's offered up his school. So I felt that this would be a good time. This is not our first attempt at trying to do something together, for sure.
Yeah.
I've tried to get Joe and Mark teaching for years, probably the last 6 or 7 years. I thought they should be doing something together, a seminar or a workshop, because I look up to both of them.
Yeah.
And now I got a chance to do it. And because it kind of grew a little bit bigger and the interest was there, I decided to add, myself and get somebody good like Tim, who really knows his Thai boxing, and offer that up to our students as well.
All right. So, in effect, this is an equivalent to the Jeet Kune Do nucleus type of operation. When you think about it, when you get people with similar backgrounds, but not identical backgrounds, but they all have Jeet Kune Do in common, and then they come together, right? So I guess the only difference is that you don't have official sanctioning from the Bruce Lee estate or something, right?
Sure.
So I'm going to quote a particular individual who said, I looked at the curriculum. Now, when he said that, I was like, I didn't even know he knew these guys so well that they showed him what they were going to be teaching, right? So again, let's go around the room. Tim, in your intro, you said a mouthful, but can you be a little bit more specific about what you're going to teach, why you're going to teach it that way in that particular approach, right? If you could go through that just a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. Being asked to teach Thai boxing and elements of Thai boxing, and pull it out of the sport mentality and how to use some of these elbows, some of these knees, some of these striking combinations in a way that works with JKD, and so using like 5 methods of attack,
Right.
how we adapt that into Thai boxing. So I started Thai boxing. I started Thai boxing at the same time started Kali and JKD. And I've never done anything independently. So I'm not a purist in anything. I've pulled JKD into everything I do. And even my marriage, you can ask my wife. But so what I'm looking to do is take some of the basic structure of the June Fine JKD kickboxing and maybe change out or add some elements that people can see different methodologies to add Thai boxing into, basic combinations, maybe substituting the wampak for a lead leg cross check, still targeting eyes, still targeting the groin,
Right.
putting in combinations, substituting different elbows, any of the 9 elbows, the Thai Boxing Association. I really don't have a lot of time. I have 2 sections, one for stand up, and Randy said I could already not go a minute longer, as you can tell how verbose I am. But one from using these principles, attack by drawing, progressive indirect attack, using stop hits, intercepting, and applying the Thai boxing techniques into the JKD structure. And then also, in the clinch game. So going from outside range, bridging the gap, coming in, immobilizing the hands, securing a clinch position, working some traditional Muay Thai in a self-defense method instead of a point scoring method, maybe adding sweeps, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. Sounds pretty interesting to me. I don't think I would sit at home, and type up, oh no, this is not something that anybody should look at because whatever. Okay, Joe, you're going to use a similar approach?
Well, my first day, what I'm going to do is show more of the original method, Jeet Kune Do method as taught during Bruce Lee's lifetime. But I'm going to show it more as an application for or against an MMA type fighter. I think something what we all have to understand is if you're an original Jeet Kune Do person, which is fantastic. If you're more of a Jeet Kune Do concept person, fantastic. But either way you go, what you got to take into account is mixed martial arts right now. Mixed martial arts is probably the largest known martial art right now in the world. Mm-hmm. Because it's every weekend you see a pay-per-view event or something on TV. All the kids growing up now see that. So even if they don't train, I think I said this in my last interview with you, even if they don't train, they're going to mimic what they see on TV, and exactly. They will come in for a tackle. They will exactly. do those things. And if you're say more of an original Jeet Kune Do guy, are you prepared for that? Sincerely prepared for that? Because I hear a lot of people say, oh yeah, I can stop a grappler coming in. And I'm like, really? I have in my gym, because I do have Jeet Kune Do on its own, but I also have MMA, and so I get all these collegiate wrestlers and Thai boxers, and we get all these different really strong athletic males and females. And these people are tough individuals. Yeah. They can break the distance on you so fast. And for you to be almost arrogant, saying they could never take me to the ground or they could never do this to me, is impossible. Mm-hmm. I know we live in Chicago. In Chicago, I know in the wintertime, when I walk from my garage to my house, I might slip from time to time. Yeah. So you're telling me when you're being attacked out of nowhere in some kind of horrible situation that you weren't even expecting, that you can never fall down and end up on the ground or be on the bottom of somebody? Come on. we have to start being a little more realistic, and we have to start thinking about those things. So what I want to do is show how we can use a lot of the Jeet Kune Do, even though everybody can agree on. There's a lot of striking principles as Bruce taught it, but how to stop the takedown in the middle of that.
Right.
Also, you know, in that respect, but I'll try to make it a little bit for both, for the people that really want to do more MMA, but also for the people who want self-defense. The second day, I'm going to do more of what I call intense defense, which is more of the Jeet Kune Do philosophy or inspired, because I will use some of the original Jeet Kune Do method, but I will also use other areas of combat that I've learned through my Marine Corps training and everything else. And this is one thing I have to say is, when people say, well, if you're a Jeet Kune Do guy, interception should be always primary, this and this and this, and that's great. But what happens if you get attacked in a car? You're sitting in a car and you're attacked right there. A G-Tech, things like that are not possible. So you have to resort to other methods. Or if you're grabbed and you're getting lifted up and all these other things, what do you do? Mm-hmm. Do you have familiarization with wrestling? Do you have familiarization with judo, jiu-jitsu, arts that are going to take care of that area? You can't always go to foul tactics, because a lot of people say, oh, I'll just bite and gouge and go for the eyes and things like that. And I always say this, if you're not prepared to, if you don't understand grappling the right way, and you go to foul tactics immediately against a good grappler, you're opening a can of worms you don't even realize.
Yeah.
Because you try to bite a guy and you're really not in a position to really bite him or gouge him. And now whatever level of anger they had is now off the charts. That changes things. So in my opinion, we are going to cover those things, the foul tactics on Sunday in the grappling portion I'm going to show, but with sound fundamental jiu-jitsu principles too. Mm-hmm. You know, not just trying to grab somebody and bite them, and anybody can say they can do that. Right. You know, if that's the case, anybody could do that. Why do you need an art to teach that? But if you understand jiu-jitsu or shuto or things like that, you understand position and everything, then the biting, the gouging, the foul tactics make a lot more sense, because now you can do them uninterrupted and go for those positions and make it work, not just flailing your arms around and trying to grab for anything you can. Okay. So that's how my 3 days are going to go. The first day is more striking, more longer range, possibly going in, dealing with more the MMA type fighter. Second day is more kind of, I guess, middle range, where the close quarter, more combat type oriented, mm-hmm. With clinching and, you know, all the other dirty stuff that you might see. And then the third day, we will deal more with breaking the distance, taking the fight to the ground, and then, or if you've been taken to the ground, what to do to survive. And that's pretty much what I'm going to do.
All right. Okay, Mark, you have to be as explicit as Joe was. Okay.
Oh,
that was an excellent breakdown.
It was great. I'm looking forward to training in those classes, to be honest with you, and Tim's as well, and Randy. So, hey, but I will be teaching some Filipino boxing, Panatukan, and I know people immediately shun on that, but it's so closely related to Jun Fan that it's almost a sister art if you look at it. It has all the same principles: stop hits, lead leg attacks, intercepting, split entries, body mechanics, footwork. So I'm going to be applying all the Jeet Kune Do principles to some Panatukan dirty boxing. We're going to learn how to manipulate the body. We're going to learn how to deliver multiple shots to multiple parts of the body. We're going to learn, because the one thing unique about Panatukan is it uses every single part of the body. Mm-hmm. I've even seen Guru Dan one time use his butt when he had some guy like in an arm bar and he just sat on him. So every part of the body. So we'll be using our shoulders, we'll be using our hips, we'll be using our legs, we'll be using a lot of hand techniques. I'll be adding in tactical flashlight and palm stick because those are, you should have something with you. You could take these on a plane. I love my little tactical flashlight, how to use it, blind people and still be able to hit them.
Right.
And so I think that's very practical. And Jeet Kune Do principles, I'll teach half beats with it and all sorts of stuff. So, and then my last, those will be 2 days. And then my last class, I'll be focusing more on the weapons of Kali, most likely double stick, but I'm going to be incorporating a lot of footwork, a lot of moving, a lot of different patterns, getting people moving, not just standing, how to manipulate the sticks as you're moving in these different patterns, how to be on the ground, like Joe said, how to go from sitting to lying to left to right to rolling on your stomach, all these different, how to hit people's feet when you're laying on your back. So I'm going to be covering all sorts of stuff like that. Everything I present will have Jeet Kune Do principles. So I'm fully confident that it'll satisfy everyone, even if they're just looking for traditional Jun Fan.
Okay. Randy, Mark just said something there that made me think, when people talk about, well, it's not adding other arts, it's studying the science of human motion. And I thought, but these arts are humans with motion. So if you want to study the human motion, why don't you just study the art? They've already done it for you. You don't have to go out and invent anything for yourself. Right?
Right. I don't think anybody here is going to be teaching a specific way that this punch is better than that punch.
Right.
We all know what that philosophy is and how it breaks down. We're going to punch, we're going to kick. But as a beginner in the art, everyone wants to classify, well, what kind of kick is that? What kind of punch is that? At our level, it's kind of just, well, you throw a punch, you threw a kick, and that caused pressure. And now you went into the clinch. Which elbow do you throw? Elbow number 5 or elbow number 8? Who cares? You're just going to throw an elbow of opportunity. And then you say, oh, well, now I'm going to do a leg takedown. And then you're just grappling for position. So, when I first started training, certain groups would classify things and they would say, okay, now it's going to be a Thai kick. And now it is a Savat kick. And now it's this and that. And back then it seemed kind of cool that you knew all those separate things. But eventually they have to tie together. If you're consciously selecting that,
right,
you are not going to be moving smoothly at all. So if I could just give a little history on the development that I had.
Yeah, well, you also have to tell us what
I got to do our breakdown?
You're going to be teaching, right? Okay. Don't forget that part.
Sure.
Right. Don't let me distract you.
Okay. So let me do the quick breakdown. So what I think about JKD is ultimately, as it's presented, you've been with Guru Asano for a while. They say, take Jun Fan as your core, and that gave you a suitable set of tools. And now you're developing your Jeet Kune Do. Okay, you've learned how to punch and kick, how to defend, how to move. You have your footwork, and now you move into Jeet Kune Do and apply those principles. Okay, and develop yourself. For me, I didn't have Jun Fan as my first exposure, believe it or not. It was actually more boxing related. So we boxed a lot. So if we moved around, our kicks weren't so great. Okay, our footwork was good, but from a boxing perspective. And I had that for about 5 years of development. And then I met my Muay Thai instructor, Frank Cucci, out of Virginia Beach. And he did his Jeet Kune Do from a Thai boxing core. Even though he had the Jun Fan training, he liked Thai boxing. So I had to switch my lead just to be able to get the Thai boxing feel. For a whole year, I fought him, he's like, Randy, switch left lead, because I just wasn't syncing up with everybody else as I was right lead. So I went, after a year, I went left lead, everything clicked, and I understood what he expected from me. So I had that kind of as my core. Fast forward to 2010, I started training with Sifu Ron Balicki, and he has the Jun Fan material down very well. And I'll tell you what, the first time I popped in his DVDs and I saw everything that was required, I go, I'm never going to figure this out. This is just too complex. And then I told myself to shut up and start working. And I did. And within a few years, because of previous training, I was able to become an apprentice instructor. Okay. I took all the tests and put in a lot of time to get that. So my delivery right now is going to be an influence of all of that. If you were to say, well, is that more Jun Fan? If I'm boxing and I'm playing around, if I'm sparring, I might test a bong sound in there, and I might have not have done that before, but it'll work because I understand the timing, the attributes to apply that have been developed over these years. So for me, I think it was nice to see that. I wish I had it sooner, but I don't regret the path that I took. I think it was very, very functional in the beginning. It was very progressive fighting system influenced, and I think Joe and I kind of went through that in the 90s. Was the Paul Vunak training experience. It was very to the point. But I grew out of that and moved into different areas. And one person I'll name, and Joe knows him very well, is Guru Rich Lamro. Seeing him, I there was a point in time where I would look at that group, the CDF of Indiana, and these guys look so awesome with their Kali work. They moved well. They're doing all of these drills, and I would look over and I asked my instructor, I'm like, "Hey, can you teach us that?" And he's like, "You don't need that." And I thought to myself, "Yeah, I do." So then I got to a little bit closer with Rich, who's been very good to me over the years, sends me students like if they're up in this area. And he got me hooked up with Guru Tezla Kalakai, and I got a chance to do some private lessons with him. And it was just, I was able to leave the confines, I felt, of my development at that time and start expanding. And then I went with Frank Cucci and on, and now you know this, the history. I'm with Guru Ram Baliki and Guru Marc Halleck. So, for that, you kind of look at, well, what technique is this? What technique is that? It doesn't matter. Is it a boxing jab? Is it a Thai boxing jab? Or is it a Jun Fan jab?
Right.
It's just a jab.
Yeah.
And I just like to make sure it's effective.
Yeah.
So
interesting, because, I put up the postcard and immediately there's controversy surrounding it.
Yeah.
But the controversy. So I want your take. I want a take from all of you on this. Look at what Randy just said. Is it a boxing jab? Is it a Muay Thai jab? It's a jab. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but don't JKD guys aspire to get to that point where a punch is a punch? So if
I would, yeah. Go.
Right?
Sorry, I still feel like I'm heading in that direction, and I haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah. Okay. So if you are what some would call original JKD, you're pursuing that path, right? You're where a punch becomes just a punch. So why is there the controversy?
I kind of laugh at this because, we're through Ram Baliki, Guru Dan, Rick Fay. Do you not think we've gone through the original Jun Fan curriculum? Ron has told us 100 times, this is the curriculum between 64 and 72 that was taught. He was at Guru's Academy. So we have the foundation in original Jun Fan Jeet Kune Do. We just decided to evolve, I guess, a little, expand our horizons, maybe. I don't really know the exact word, but to expand on our martial art journey. And we still keep Jun Fan Jeet Kune Do in its pure state, but all these other things that we do add, I do not think are 100% the opposite of what we do. Everything we do, Kali, Silat, Thai boxing, the grappling, it's all Jeet Kune Do inspired, and it has all Jeet Kune Do principles. It's not like we're doing Jun Fan Jeet Kune Do. I don't want to cut anything down, but then we're doing, Shotokan karate right after that. Where all our things blend and have the same philosophies. So I don't feel we're doing any disservice to the Jun Fan Jeet Kune Do community.
Okay. Somebody else. Everybody's got to give me their take on this. Where'd Tim go? Okay.
I'm here. One thing that I would say is, and I totally get it. There are purists. There are people that just want, a freeze frame in time. And listening to Guru Dan, he will tell you about certain people at certain times believe that there wasn't kickboxing in JKD. It was all trapping. It depends on, what point of JKD you jump into. And what's the point of JKD? I mean, is it an art? Is it a set of concepts? I mean, you're looking at four people that all have had traditional Junfan JKD training and are all doing different things. None of us are the same. We're, different weights, different reaches, different strengths, different weaknesses, different interests. Certain things work for us, certain things we can't pull off. We're all four of us different. And it's kind of weird in a way to think that, all these people would be in a vacuum of just doing one thing. But hey, I get it. I mean, I love doing martial arts. I coach fighters. I spend a lot of time coaching fighters. I sneak JKD in all my Thai boxing training. That's the way I was brought up. And I'm using immobilizing attacks and progressive indirect attacks. And of course, you're using attack by combinations. And you pull this stuff out. I never once said, okay, now I'm going with Ajahn Chai's Thai boxing and I have to forget everything. Certain things work and you take it with you. Now, certain things work for me. That doesn't mean it works for you. And there's a ton of stuff that I just cannot do, especially at 51 now. And my JKD has completely changed, but other people can. So you teach what you can teach and they take what they can take and they make what's theirs. You can't do the work for them. You give them the tools, the best that you can, and they take from that. And they take actually from all these different instructors and find their own truth. But we're using, we've all had traditional Jeet Kune Do, from, the greatest people. I started out with Ted Georges and Dwight, Ted Georges.
Yeah.
We trained with Sifu Rick Fei and Guru Dan. And, we pull our source material from them, and other people pull their source material from other reputable JKD instructors.
All right, Joe.
This is something I'd like to say. I love the original method. I think it's still just as valid now as it ever was, as far as the original curriculum as taught by Bruce Lee during his lifetime. I think it's fantastic, and the people that do that, I give them props for being so disciplined and staying in one area. The only thing I say about that is, if you're going to go that route, I would assume, I'm hoping that you're training against other types of individuals, such as Thai boxing, MMA fighters, karate guys, taekwondo guys, whatever.
Do you think they are? Honestly,
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. But if you're going to say that we're going to be original Jeet Kune Do, and you're going to use your system against those types of people, great, fantastic. If you can make it work against those people, that's great. A lot of times, as when I was a child, I came up in karate and taekwondo and things like that, and usually you train that art against that art, and that's how most schools are. You train when you're in that school. If you're in a taekwondo school, you're training taekwondo against taekwondo. So I would say, and this goes to any art. I'm not just saying the original Jeet Kune Do. Any art, if you really want your art to work, you need to go and train with other people to do other things. You need to see how a wrestler can, as I said earlier, break the distance on you, and get in there with a boxer and feel that energy. It's easy to say stuff when things are broken down and no one's really pressuring you and trying to knock your head off. But when you got somebody put a pair of gloves on and they're trying to do violence against you, that changes everything.
Yeah,
And
forgive me, but see, like, I listen to you guys talk, right? And I'm like, what you're talking about there, the catchphrase that's very popular now about pressure or a resistant opponent, which is usually assigned to like BJJ. But what you're talking about there is pressure testing.
Exactly.
Right? So not even that. So once again, you have a very popular martial art method, and its terminology has become a catchphrase, but JKD people were doing it.
Yeah. One of the things I have nothing but respect for people that do the original method. I really do. I love it. I still love it. I still teach it regularly, at least twice a week. I think I think one of the things they will say is take so many tools and get great at them. And I completely agree with that. I am at that point in my life now where I do the same. I don't just grab things from other arts just to add them on. The reason I'll usually grab something is because I feel there's an absolute need for it. And there's something that's not there yet that I don't have. And I say, hey, this really makes sense for me in this portion, whether it be clinching or whatever it may be. And so that I'll add that to my curriculum. But just to add and add and add and add, just to add for the sake of adding to me is reckless also. So I understand, and that's usually the argument they make, and I agree with them there. In that respect, I do. I really do. Mm-hmm. I get it. You need to perfect certain things. The other thing I like to do is one tool, used many ways.
Yeah.
Because in combat, it's so quick. You know, as a Marine too, it's so quick.
Right.
Violence happens, and that's the fog of combat, whether it be in the cage, in the street, whatever it is, it's crazy. And if you have too much material, you're not going to do anything. Mm-hmm. Okay, you're going to freeze up because you're going to be thinking, what am I going to use? So definitely, I understand when they say, hey, we want to develop certain tools. The only thing is, you still need to add more as time goes on. There's still going to be people start moving differently. People definitely move differently now than they did in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s.
That was the other thing that you made me think of, because when you said, okay, but in the old days, if you were in Shotokan trained against Shotokan. Shotokan yes. never trained against Kyokushin or against Judo or what have you.
Exactly.
But along comes Bruce Lee and breaks that rule and says, yep. you should look at other things. So in the 1960s, Bruce Lee was ahead of his time. But if you now, so I need everybody's take on this. Bruce Lee was ahead of his time in the 60s and in the mid 60s to early 70s. But time moves on and things change. So if you stick to what Bruce Lee was able to come up with mid 60s to early 70s, are you moving on? I'll start with you, Joe.
Oh, no, I believe you need to continue to grow. You need to start looking at arts like Thai boxing. Basically, I always try to tell people, look at the arts of combat sports. Besides that, I think most of us understand. You could see an art of like Kali, and this is real. It's real. You can see. Now, does that mean every single element of it do I agree with? No. Right. But you can see the areas where you could really add to your Jeet Kune Do, even as a Jeet Kune Do purist, and say, hey, this fits really well with what we do. Mm-hmm. But again, I say this to everybody. I say this to every art. If you really want your art to be effective, you need to train with and against other arts using your art. If you want to be a purist in your art. Yeah. In the early days of the UFC, what we seen was art against art at that time. Mm-hmm. It was more a jiu-jitsu guy versus a karate guy, a taekwondo guy versus kempo, whatever it was. Yeah. Nowadays, mixed martial art is almost kind of become its own system. Mm-hmm. It's a combination of things of other combat sports, such as boxing and Thai boxing and kickboxing and judo and jiu-jitsu and wrestling. It's become its own blend of martial arts into one. And I don't see any reason a Jeet Kune Do an original Jeet Kune Do style person couldn't see the value in that.
Right. Yeah.
And say, hey, I'm Jeet Kune Do, the original method is my core. That's my core system. That's my core method, I should say. But then there's nothing wrong with adding a Thai boxing elbow when you get inside. Yeah. Guy breaks the distance. You can't stop hit him anymore. And bang,
Yeah.
and you hit them with a good elbow in the face.
Let's get Randy. Randy, you jump in on this. The idea of growth and time passing on, and what should be our prescription for dealing with that.
Right. Absolutely. So we should look at it that Bruce Lee was evolving with this art. Okay. And he had changed his mind. He might say forms are good this week, and then a week later, forms are no good. Inosanto has talked about that. And then everybody else will say, well, then forms are no good. But Bruce Lee had used them at a certain point in time in his development. And you can say, well, his grappling, compared to what he was doing, cool moves. We know he had exposure to some grappling systems, and he was putting a little bit of it in his movements. But he didn't have a grappling development. He had some drills and movements from some wrestling, okay, and some catch wrestling. We can see it's in the Tao, right? But we know that there's no real system of training, because as it was handed off, he didn't have that exposure. Okay, so fast forward, just as Joe said, we get to 1993, and I was training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in 91, and I think, Joe, you probably had exposure before the UFC as well. And we were taking people to task, because as soon as they go to the ground, people didn't know we knew any grappling. And we were taking grapplers that went downstate, tapping them out within 10 seconds. And then it comes out on TV. So we already knew that we should have grappling in our system in my first year of training. And now the world knows that if you don't train some grappling, how are you going to counter grappling? If you want to stay on your feet, that's great. But you better know what they plan on doing, what that energy feels like, so that you can help counter it. So there's no doubt that Bruce Lee would have continued looking and maybe even changed. But I think about it like this. I have this analogy. Everybody here, I assume, has been to a buffet, okay? And if you go to a buffet, the person who invited you out, he hands you the plate, and he goes, hey, that's all there is, enjoy. And you eat it, and you enjoy. And over time, you realize that around the table, people have different plates, and you're like, well, I'd like to pick my own stuff. And you didn't realize there's a buffet behind you of things that you could start to look at and enjoy and taste. So I think you don't let people pick everything for you on what you should develop. And you can start with the core. Everybody is going to have some boxing training. People got to do their sit-ups, push-ups, jump and rope. But ultimately, people are going to adapt and change. And then as a fighter, especially if you're going to something like MMA, you're not just going to do boxing. We know how that turned out in '93. Only a box, being in there against people who are more well-rounded. So you have to develop beyond where even Bruce Lee left it off. And he kind of put the template there. It's in his philosophies. And I think people forget that. They look at that point in time and think that that's okay, we'll just do it here and that's it. If basketball didn't evolve, how would that look with everybody throwing the under toss into the basket? Now they're slam dunking and they're doing all these really cool things. And I still think that's evolving. Yeah. But it's the way that I think Jeet Kune Do, for me, I want to be an effective martial artist. So I have to look at other things besides just JKD. I've seen some really good movements out of Silat. As the last time I checked, Jeet Kune Do doesn't have a weapons system. Okay. Well, you say, well, Wing Chun does. They have the butterfly swords and they have the staff. And I said, well, that's Wing Chun. Chun Fan, it wasn't there. It wasn't presented to me. But Kali has very good answers for stick weapons, knife weapons. And not everything has all the answers. But I think if you develop yourself, you can say, well, I'm developing attributes. That's the only reason I train weapons. Fine. It'll give you some attributes. But I think it also gives you functionality. And there are people that compete. Marc Halleck has competed in Kali tournaments and has had a lot of fun and actually won. So, and I have too. I've competed as well. But I think we have to, everybody here that I decided to pick for this is not a closed-minded person, okay? And going back to what Joe had said earlier, when you're training against your own style, and we were like that for a little bit in the beginning, we knew all each other's tricks, so we're fighting each other to a stalemate. But then the one person would go to a Thai boxing seminar, come back, and all of a sudden he's got an extra movement or an extra intercept or something else, the teep, or he's got a leg check against your kick, and you're like, what is that? I never saw that before. And now he's doing better because he just picked up a few techniques from something. He didn't go and say, well, I'm quitting JKD and only studying Thai boxing.
Right.
That's closed-minded.
Yeah.
Okay, to just discard all your development from something else.
Yeah.
So, and I've actually been through that personally. I've used Jun Fan against Thai boxers, and I've used Thai boxing against Jun Fan people just to throw them off, take them out of their element, and do very well, in sparring matches. So I think the art was meant to evolve. I am not intimidated by somebody telling me I'm doing it wrong. I think I can intelligently explain my position as well as the other gentleman on here today. And we're going to present and try to build the community. That's the whole point of the entire summit.
Yeah,
is to build the Jeet Kune Do community.
See, I think that's the aspect of it that that not too many people picked up on. That this is an event that's designed to bring people together. I think people go, oh, it's 4 guys doing a seminar, and they left it at that. They didn't see the theme behind it. It's just 4 guys that are going to teach. People are going to come, spend some time, and go home. And they missed that entire point, right? Mark,
Right.
I need you. So Randy just said that you're a guy who speaks intelligently. So
I don't know about that.
right.
Prove me right. Prove me right.
Give us your take on the passage of time and how people in JKD should continue to evolve.
Well, I agree exactly what with Joe and Randy said, that, we can have the original Jeet Kune Do as our foundation, but as time goes on, everything changes. Randy used the basketball analogy. I'll use football. I mean, they used to just have leather helmets and nothing else, and now they're fully padded with safety gear. Everything changes through time. Even Bruce Lee was changing at the end. Look at Enter the Dragon. He was playing with Kali a little bit. Guru Dan said he was starting to look into Silat and stuff. So, I mean, our founder himself encouraged us to explore and be open-minded. I mean, it's right in the creed of the system. And I think that, if you don't and just stick with one thing, A, like Joe said, you better pressure test it against other things. And B, you're missing out on so many different things that you could be seeing. And other arts are beautiful. And, it doesn't matter really. And, as long as you're not just mishmashing. Right. And we know kind of, Guru Dan has done the work for us. So, that's my take. I think you should be evolving and changing and learning. If I was done learning, the for rent sign would be in my window. I love learning still, and I don't want to stop learning. Mm-hmm. So I guess,
Hey, let's talk about that, because 50% of you are active school owners and instructors, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. So, okay. So how come the other 2 never owned a school, never owned and ran a school?
They're smart.
Well,
Tim?
I'll say this. I'm an IT person, and that pays the bills for me, right?
Yeah.
I've always run a garage group. I worked for Joe Goytia. I taught for him for about close to a year. And then I was moving up north, and Marc Halleck hired me to work for him. So I learned a bit about running a school, but I had always had my own classes, garage class, or, we're going to meet outside if the weather's nice or whatever, some kind of group. And I'm still holding there, but I'll tell you what, I've grown so fast since the lockdowns have lifted. I actually looked at opening up a school, and I started looking at facilities and things like that and going, maybe I can make this move. I don't know, but I know who to talk to when I do make that move,
Nice.
because Mark and Joe have offered their insights to me already and saying, hey, when you're ready, let's talk.
Yeah. Tim?
Yeah. Time for me. I'm full-time, work for a municipality. And I was teaching at my friend's gym as a head instructor there, teaching Thai boxing once a week, submission wrestling once a week, jiu-jitsu once a week, Kali, JKD, and Jun Fan twice a week, and not getting paid for any of it, you know?
That guy was smart.
Yeah, my buddy. And around 2001, one of my other friends opened up another gym and kind of bought him out, and I was focused more on MMA and wanted me teaching Thai boxing and full-time working and just having kids and trying to, honestly, right now I turn around and I have a 17 and a 15-year-old I don't even know, and I wish I had more time for myself. I need to make more time for myself because I miss training these arts. I still try to keep my hours up under Guru Dan, even though I'm not actively teaching a JKD class. But I still try to, up until COVID, try to keep my hours up under Guru Dan and train with Guru Rick Fay. I can, and but hey, Eric Paulson, all the people that I love to train with, Ajahn Chai, and I host Ajahn Chai, and as much as I can do, with balancing a family, and it's all about balance for me. I mean, these guys are living a dream to me. I've always wanted to open a gym. Of course, every gym I've been at, I've seen all the trials and the tribulations of trying to keep the doors open, and COVID just taking people down to their knees, and you have something that pays the bills and pays your insurance and provides for your family. It's hard to walk away from that and explain to your wife that, hey, we're going to go the Kung Fu route today.
Yeah, that doesn't work that well.
Guys are my,
yeah.
They're.
So I forget who it was that used the term a few minutes ago, mishmash. But I thought we'd go around the table again and deal with this. How do you avoid the perception that what you're doing is a mishmash of different things? How do you make sure that you're sticking to a particular theme, right? Instead of just, catch as catch can from all over the place. You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
I have a structured curriculum that we do at my school. There's specific things for each level. And at each level, you get original Jeet Kune Do, you get some Kali, you get some grappling, you get some boxing. So I don't, so they have a set curriculum where I'm not just pulling things out of the air every class. They actually have a path they're working towards. And, I think that answers your question.
Well, I'm thinking more in terms of how things become integrated. You see?
Well, I'll say this. We, through Mars, through Sifu Rambaliki, has a very detailed curriculum, okay? And he's very strict, okay? And I'll say that nicely. And it's for good reason, because it helps preserve what he has taught and what he has learned from his instructor, okay? And he will put a little bit, sometimes I'll say, a little bit of his twist on it. And I'm not saying just modifying the system, but for example, he's had Wing Chun instructors. So I'll know people who say, well, I train Jun Fan, but I don't work the wooden dummy sets. Or I train Jun Fan and I don't do Ung Mil. Or I don't do Silim Tao. So that is just for us an enhancement, but it doesn't detract from the core elements of what we need. That we need to have the kickboxing responses, shoulder roll, 20 some odd options of jab cross defenses, jab hook defenses, different takedowns, entries, all the trapping. It's not an easy curriculum to get through. If you look at it on paper, you'll start to go, oh my God. And Kali's even worse. I know we're not talking about Kali, but it's very information dense and it can intimidate people to not wanting to take on the endeavor. When I teach, okay, my first 45 minutes of class is Jeet Kune Do. If I decide to do Thai boxing, it is only Thai boxing that day. And I've actually done an immersion. I did it for 1 month, knowing that my students are going to have to meet with Tim at the summit, I want to make sure that they have some fundamentals.
Right.
Okay. And not Tim going, what are these guys doing? So, but I have my John Fon material. And then at the 45-minute mark, I go, okay, now it's polython. Okay. And maybe some things will blend over. If we just got through some trapping entries like split entry back fist combinations, well, now we're doing gunting back fist combinations. So for me, and this is just my way. I try to just keep the curriculum what it is at the point in time that I'm promising to teach it. Instead of going, all right, in the middle of it, let's just go to Thai box and grab the Thai pants. Though I don't think that's a terrible thing to do. And I don't think I owe anybody an explanation on why I would do or not do that.
Right.
I had an experience a couple of years ago that was actually quite pleasing, where a guy walks in from came in from the Inasano Academy, and I was teaching up at a Krav Maga school, and they're like, oh, this guy said he was training at the Inasano Academy for 7 or 8 years, and I'm thinking, oh boy, this guy's going to come in and he's going to be asking me 1,000 questions, and I hope I get it right. We started training. I'm using John Fon terminology, now tech, cross rear leg now tech, or hop hock, just different things, and he was clicking with it, and he's smiling because he felt like he didn't have to learn anything necessarily new terminology wise, or I had to explain or break anything down. And that actually felt good because I can see that what our instructor, Sifu Rambalicki, has done is tried to keep it very close to the way he learned it.
Yeah.
And it's still being taught at the Inasano Academy.
There was continuity.
So, exactly. There was consistency in that training that he just decides, I know there's instructors here who say, I don't want to learn the terminology. That's fine. That's up to you. For me, I felt I had to learn it. I think I'm pretty good at it according to what I learned from my instructor. Mm-hmm. Okay. That when I speak the language to other Mars students and instructors, they understand me. Yeah. And then people who are also at the Inasano Academy were speaking that terminology, whether it's Kali or JK. Or Jung Fon.
Yeah, I think what you're showing here is the aspect of individuality, the permission that people have to be individuals within the Jeet Kune Do framework. It's not at all, it must be exactly like Bruce Lee, whatever and whatever. And right. Forgive me if I'm wrong about this, but I think Bruce Lee celebrated individualism. Yes. I don't think Bruce Lee ever wanted anybody to be a carbon copy of him.
Right. I'll add this because I think this is kind of an obvious one to everybody that's on. There are certain lineages that will say Bruce Lee didn't do trapping, so we don't do trapping. And I think while you may make that personal choice that you have tried to spar and trapping is not working for you, and you go, you know what, I'm just going to discard that or set that aside. But if you impose it onto your students, I feel it's a disservice. Mm-hmm. I feel that you are also making a judgment for them, where I've made trapping effective for me. I don't use it all the time because I know when the right time is to use it, right? This is that term that you probably heard me say. You hit to trap and you trap to hit. People go, well, no, that's not what that means. They don't get it. If I'm trying to hit you, you're going to put your hands up in the way. And guess what? You created an obstruction. Well, I got to remove that obstruction. Mm-hmm. So now when I remove the obstruction, I'm going to continue hitting. So that's why I say that term. They think I'm just throwing garbage out there just to get your hands up. That's not true. I usually will score a very clean shot and get people's defenses up. And then I will try to score another shot. Mm-hmm. And if there's an obstruction, I'll remove it. And then continue with the pressure. Okay. Yeah. Whether, it's boxing, doesn't matter, whatever the pressure is. So, but that's what I see around part of, the different communities that they will say, well, Bruce Lee stopped doing this or Bruce Lee stopped. That's okay. Does that mean you had to stop doing it? How is it affecting you? Is it benefiting your training?
Yeah.
And I think if you look at it that way, I don't tell my students they shouldn't go train with anybody. I don't tell them, unless I think that person is a toxic, harmful person, but if they have something good to teach, I would love my students. And that's part of what we're doing here is I'm saying, hey, you guys haven't trained with Joe Goytia. Guess what? You're going to get a chance to train with him. Yeah. You haven't trained with my instructor, Marc Halleck. You're going to get a chance to train with him. And we're all going to be able to present that. And with the summit, we're just saying, hey, in Chicago, there's some JKD guys.
Right.
Now, I don't want to hijack this. I'll come back to it if we could close this out. I want everyone else to finish the answer, but I have something to say about other Jeet Kune Do people in Chicago.
Okay.
We'll come back to
I have a question for everybody. What equipment do attendees have to bring for your sessions, Randy?
Oh, well, have some focus mitts, boxing gloves, MMA gloves. If I would like to see collie sticks there. So I'm teaching the 5 ways of attack from Jun Fan perspective. Okay. So everything is going to progress from SDA, attack by combination. I see some people put attack by draw somewhere in the middle. I teach it at the end because I think it is the most vulnerable you can be. So I go SDA, ABC, PIA, then HIA because it is.
You mean you have your own order for stuff?
I know, isn't that crazy?
How dare you?
That's insane.
Mark, what do people have to bring for your session?
Boxing gloves, focus mitts, a little palm stick or flashlight if they have it, and their collie sticks.
Okay, Joe.
Art. Some boxing gloves on the May gloves would be great. Mouthpiece, shin guards, basically stuff to do some possible light sparring, but we're not going to be going, no one's going to be going real hard or anything. If anything, just very light. And a lot of stuff we have on hand anyway. So
okay, Tim.
Shin guards, gloves, mouth guard, and a cup. No tie pads. You don't need tie pads. We can make do with focus mitts. Definitely need some focus mitts. Tie pads are a plus. Okay. We'll have some gear.
I don't know, man. You guys sound pretty integrated to me. This is terrible.
iPads in a JKD session? What?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right, Randy, go ahead. Yeah, let's wrap it up. Go ahead and say what you need to say, and we'll get out of here.
Okay, so I missed my chance earlier. I'll start with this. I'm teaching 5 ways of attack in one of my JKD sessions. Then I'm going to teach entering to trapping to grappling, which is not going to put us directly on the ground. I want it to be that non-committed grappling and looking for neck cranks, standing leg locks, things along those lines. So that's the second section. Then my third section will be collie weapons, where I will have single and double stick. And then my fourth section will be knife, okay, and some drills, okay? That being said, we've caught a little bit of, there's a little heat going on here in Chicago, okay, where I think some people are offended that they were not invited up to teach. We are not the authority of Jeet Kune Do in Chicago. We are just 4 Jeet Kune Do practitioners and instructors that felt this is a good time to put this on. We may not be, if we get another chance at this, we may not be the 4 instructors for the next one. Mm-hmm. And somebody in 2 months from now can do their own Jeet Kune Do summit or call it whatever they like. And maybe I'll go and attend that and support it. I want a brotherhood here, okay? And we've talked about this a long time ago, and I know the whole personality, the whole purpose of you doing stuff like this, Dwight, having these broadcasts, is to get people aware of what people are doing across the country and around the world. Because I think there's a little bit of, oh, they don't do what we do. I'm not going to go check them out. And there's jealousy, there's pettiness. And we're trying to not be that.
Right.
Okay. And we're trying to be inclusive. People are welcome to come train with us. I've not excluded anybody. And a specific person we started talking about, I offered him a teaching section. I'll give up my teaching section, come and teach. I'll pay them.
Yeah.
Right. And it was declined.
Yeah.
I was not surprised. So this is in no way to exclude any of the other instructors, but I think to get the experience of how Joe teaches or how Mark or Tim teaches, they need a few sections. They've got a lot to teach. They could teach they could teach a week-long camp, each of them. They have so much knowledge. But, this is just our first presentation. I didn't want to overwhelm anybody. They both run schools too. So, Joe's being gracious enough to let us use his school. Mark was also willing to let us use the school. They both have huge, great schools. It's going to be a lot of fun to be there. All that being said, we didn't mean to hurt anybody's feelings, but we also can't address that, and worry about that, because we have to look forward. We're trying to be positive.
Yeah.
We're trying to move ahead.
Yeah.
And we're trying to say, join us.
Right.
And maybe next time, if they show up, they'll be teaching at the next event. You know, I'm doing a lot of work on this. I think these guys already know I'm promoting it. I've got all the graphic design work, social media promotions. I'm managing everything. I have the payment portal set up. This is something that I'm very good at. Joe's done some big events too. He does MMA promotions with Total Fight Challenge.
Mhm.
It's a ton of work.
I know.
And
I believe me.
I thrive on this.
Well, see, but
Yeah,
see, this is the thing, right? See, anybody else in Chicago, they could put on a summit, but
Absolutely.
you guys are doing the work. You see, and that's the thing that sometimes I think people, you make it look easy. You see, that's the problem, right? It's like, right?
Yeah.
You know how many people dream of being able to put on a 3-day event, but they never
Right.
get around to it. But you come out and you guys do it, and the talk starts, right? It's inevitable.
And,
you know?
and exactly. And
I gotta say something about
those.
those graphics though, right?
Yeah.
Tim Tokarz, he messed me up because he poses like this, and
Yeah.
I'm trying to cut it to fit onto my postcard, so I got to cut his arms off.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
He keeps asking me for more pictures. I'm just not, I don't promote myself. I'm not.
He's shy. Tim is shy.
I'm pretty much.
I've asked everybody. Everybody here can tell you how pushy I've been. I know I've been pushy.
Yeah.
I got guys. I need your photos, guys. You got
Yeah.
demo videos, guys, and keep going. But that's what it takes. And
It's got to
Joe
be
knows
done.
that.
It's got to be done.
Joe knows it, and Mark knows it too. Mark's hosted I don't know how many instructors
Right.
up at his school for years. It takes a lot of work to coordinate stuff like this.
Yeah.
But that's okay because these guys have been helpful. They gave us some good stuff, and now thankfully, my graphic designer, who's my girlfriend, is just amazing, and she can just say, "Okay, I'll take these pictures and I'll make something out of it." I think Tim is doing an attack by draw with his hands down. So I thought it'd be a really good JKD pick.
Yeah.
And he's gonna have to show us how to defend against or take advantage of that. But
when I'm rich enough, I'm going to hire your girlfriend to do stuff for me because I envy all the graphic work
I can't
you
even
do.
afford her. What are you talking about? But that helps a lot. She's done a lot of great work for my school. She's helped with my website.
Yeah.
And she's just really solid. And I think that everybody knows that having that extra element to deliver, we could teach very well. We can have great content, but also being able to present it professionally.
Yes.
That's the polish.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I think we have that.
Yeah. I had many months ago, a colleague of one of my students came by and he just used like his whatever brand of iPhone that was. And I put up a picture today. There's almost 200 people that have said something or acknowledged. And it's just because it's like a high quality picture. So I get what you're talking about. All right, so let's wrap this up. Let's go around the table again. Famous last words from everybody.
I'm just looking forward to the summit, seeing everyone who shows, training with Joe, Tim, and Randy. And I'm just looking to the camaraderie. So come join us.
All right, Timmy.
Yeah, I'm excited to work with these guys. I love the fact that we're trying to take the politics out of Chicago. No pie. Famous last words, probably something I tell guys I train with. Hey, if you're training to fight hard on Tuesday and Thursday, what days are you training to fight better? So when you're working, competitively, and you're just banging and hurting each other, what days are you putting in some science and making yourself a better fighter, better person, really?
Yeah. Joe?
Looking forward to meeting with all these guys and training with all these guys again. And, looking forward to meeting a lot of new people that come in through the door that day and just trading ideas and giving them an idea. And one of the things I try to say now when people say, are you Jeet Kune Do? Are you this? Are you that? I just tell people I'm a martial artist. take it for what it is. I'm a martial artist, and that's the title I would rather have. I'm a martial artist, and I feel that's it.
All right.
You know.
Okay, Randy, bring us home.
I am just so proud to be able to teach Jeet Kune Do in this way. I'm happy to teach even my small group classes, but getting to take the stage with these other instructors who I've actually learned from, they've given me a lot of knowledge over the years. That it's a real honor to be able to do that, and I really feel that the attendees are going to have an experience that they can't really get unless 4 other instructors who can get together and not argue with each other, get up on stage and actually, present to them some good, solid knowledge, things that are developmental, okay, for their martial arts, but things that are also developmental for their character. And I bring that, and I know these other instructors bring that too, because there's a morality that I think we all bring with it. It's not all about curb stomping people and headbutting them to death. It is about, your personal development as a martial artist, your technical development, and then of course, if you're ranking in something, we can help you get those techniques down. So,
all right,
these are the guys.
Okay.
These are the guys.
Now, I don't mean to put anybody on the spot, but I would really love it if after the event, everybody comes back and then we do reflections on how the event was. What do you think?
I think that would be great.
Sure. I think that's great.
Okay, Tim, work on getting permission for that now. Start now. Okay.
On.
There you go. That's how it's done.
All right. Okay, gentlemen, thank you so much. I apologize for all the technical snafus at the beginning, but I'll edit this out and I'll put it up. I'll stay up late tonight and try to get it up tonight.
Thank
Sounds
you very
great.
much.
Thanks for the opportunity, and thank you guys for joining.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Have a great weekend. Take care, guys.
All right,
Bye.
bye.
Take care. Bye.
That was episode number 190 of the Jeet Kune Do Dialogues. My thanks go out to Joe Goytia, Marc Halleck, Tim Tokarz, and Randy Siordia for the dialogue. Next Friday, what is that? August 22nd, is it? August 20th. We'll be on with episode number 191 with Darren Sievers. So check in with us then, 6 p.m. next Friday. But before that, if you can make it next Wednesday again at 6 p.m., come check me out on another issue of the I Love Jeet Kune Do broadcast. If not, I'll see you next Friday for the next episode of the Jeet Kune Do Dialogues. So until then, everybody enjoy yourself, have a great weekend, and stay tuned till the next episode.